Dr. Willie Davis.
Hey, what's happening? What's happening? And Deshawn Sweet, folk East
Side for life.
So all right.
Well, our first thing what we're gonna talk about is the East Side, just like what you said. The East Side for life is where the younger days for the guys that actually brought up basketball and made basketball who it is. I grew up in the days where Jay and Sam were the beginning of the East Side to me. But you guys tell me more because this is what I know.
Well, I just wanted to say that because and I might be biased, but we ran the park program back in '76, and they tell me that Terry Stanley was the best playground ball player ever.
Oh yeah.
What you say? I don't know. But I said playground, because
But then his brother Trap, you got Trap. But the East Side, we grew up with in a different time where basketball, sports altogether was different. But the Stanleys, all of those, Terrell, Trap, all of them, the Jameses, of course, the Outlaws,
the Austins,
the Austins. So everybody was, we were all athletic, especially from over here.
Of course, the Vincents too.
Yeah, the Vincents. Like you said, the Vincents were pretty much of course, the biggest was, the Vincents from the East Side. Magic is the biggest from Lansing. But of course, we have Sam and Jay both went to the league. Sam got 2 championships. One with Boston and one with Chicago. So he played with Bird. He didn't play with some of the greats. So.
And Michael.
Who was the one that turned around that y'all saw in the parks that was teaching Sam and Jay them, to help them to get to where they are?
I don't know so much if it was somebody that was helping. It was just at a time where the competition was so stiff. When you went to the court, everybody could play. So if you couldn't play, you wouldn't get on the court. So it was more just a natural thing at the time, like in Lansing period, as you mentioned the Keatons before. Lansing in the 70s, 80s, and early 90s was just full of athletes. Football, basketball, baseball, so we grew up in a city that was full of athletes. So there was competition. As far as going to the park where there was somebody saying, hey man, set that pick, and I don't recall that. I remember more, it was just like, we would see Sam doing stuff and Jay, of course, but we just grew up playing in the park. Every day you can go to the park and imagine every day you playing with Sam Vincent, Irvin James,
Okay, who is the best player in this local area? Who you guys say that never went pro?
Irvin James. Irvin James. I give that to him every time. I think he was. I just liked his smooth game. A lot of people say Nestor, his younger brother. Of course we have. We got a lot of
Bob
people.
Bentley. But Irvin, I can't argue with Irvin.
But it's so tough.
I can't argue about
It's just
Irvin.
like picking the number one. We got Roosevelt Outlaw.
Roosevelt
Outlaw without him, what I'm saying, with a few decisions being different in that young man's life, he could have probably been one of the best since Magic.
Now, who is a childhood legend?
All of them that we just named. Because, as far as I'm concerned, every era has a generation. Jay Vincent would probably be the biggest from our area, like the East Side, let's say, would be Jay Vincent. He's the oldest. He the first one. He came up with Magic. So I would have to give that to Jay. Jay would be our biggest hero.
Okay.
And he, especially from over here.
Especially from the East Side.
Who is the best player that you guys know that never actually got the notoriety that was there?
Melvin Willis.
Oh yeah.
Big Mel. Big Melvin, yeah. His older
brother was
Charles Willis went to Lansing.
But he had an older brother.
Fred. He worked out Myers.
Fred played college ball. Fred.
But Mel Willis was the younger brother of Charles Willis.
Yeah.
And he balled.
What year was this?
This is, you talking 80s.
Melvin more 90s.
late 80s, early 90s.
Okay, okay.
But Big Mel, I like Big Mel. He had size. I just think he never really, I think he kind of liked football a little more than basketball. But
being over here on the east
Jason
side,
oldest, ain't he?
I believe so.
Yeah,
and having to go to Wash Park every day and play with guys like you guys, and
Yeah.
guys that you don't mention, made everybody around here
Better.
have to be better. Where today they work on jumpers and they work on layups and things like that. Did y'all ever see any players doing that around growing up?
Listen, one of the baddest cats come up over here too, and I never saw him really playing coming up. But then when he got to the top of his game, I saw him a lot. Was Steve Austin?
Yeah.
Well, Steve Austin, I mean, pulled from anywhere.
But Sean Outlaw,
Pulled from anywhere.
Sean Outlaw, he went.
Yeah.
I think he played for Eastern too.
Yeah,
but
yeah.
Sean Outlaw had a
Oh
real
yeah,
nice game.
he had a real good game.
He had a real good game. I
game.
would say he was like, I mean, at a level of which we speaking, he was like Kobe-ish. The way that he played, he was pretty good.
Reggie was nice. I used to like when I saw point guard Reggie Austin. He looked just like Isaiah to me.
But he was football side.
Yeah.
He was football side.
He was stout. He was stout. Yeah.
The best shooter, and I already have to say. Now I know you're gonna say Irvin. Y'all gotta bring the Bentley's into
That's
it.
what I'm gonna say. Ronnie, Boo Boo. Boo Boo is the most deadliest shooter. Well,
most deadlier than Bob.
Most deadliest shooter.
Most deadlier than Bob.
Boo Boo and Ernesto.
Ernesto. Now Ernesto
will kill you.
Ernesto.
But he will kill you. Yeah.
Oh no!
I'm gonna tell you another somebody that when you talk about shooting a jumper, and that's your cousin, Don. Don Charles had a nice jumper too.
Danielle Disney.
Yeah.
You know somebody else we didn't mention in this? The Love Boys, Shannon and Elliott.
Oh yeah.
They were beat.
Not so much
And they got
jumper, but
but as big men,
Yeah.
as far as big men,
Yeah.
Shannon and Elliott.
What's the name? Stay across the street from your mom. Big fella, Bruce. Yeah, Bruce.
Yeah, Bruce. Yeah, Bruce.
Yeah, Bruce had a good game too. Had a good game too.
Bruce Bell.
Bruce Bell.
Yeah, he could play. Like you say, local. Like you say, when you talk about locally, back in the day, Bruce was at every.
Listen,
park.
we was just balling over here. They were balling. I was watching.
I mean, you can go. You can.
I was watching the young boys.
At one time,
coming
you can ride around Lansing and always find good basketball. I mean, you still can, but when we came up.
You remember what's his name? He came up with Pinky. He went to Sexton.
I know who you're talking about. The one he tried to get into the league for a lot of years.
Yeah, what was his name?
Not Roy. Roy G. Roy G had a Roy G. But he went to Sexton.
He went to Sexton. What was Roy Jean last name?
Back when,
I remember Roy Jean.
Yeah, Roy Jean. He up here.
He had a sweet jumper too. But he was a player.
Lloyd, his name was Lloyd. Wasn't it? Lloyd.
Lloyd Blackman?
No. This cat name.
P-Funk was all right. I mean, we had a few Baja
Lord,
that was decent. You know what I'm saying? You know, Lloyd, them my dogs.
Yeah.
His
name wasn't Lloyd. What was his name?
Banks. I want to say his name was Banks. I went to Sexton.
Ron Banks?
Ron Banks. Yeah.
Ron Banks is not from the east side. Ron Banks.
No, we just speaking in Lansing.
Lansing.
When we speak of Lansing, other outside, he was decent, and he tried to get in the league for a few years.
Oh no, I went to the first Adidas All-Star game at the Palace, right? Ron Banks was there the same time that Kobe. We went to breakfast and everything with him. And Ron Banks, we're going to get him on this porch too.
Okay.
Ron Banks,
okay.
Y'all go back to the film.
Okay.
Ron Banks was killing Kobe. Right? Y'all check that out. It was the Adidas All-Star. And wait till Ryan get on this porch. Y'all don't remember this, right?
Okay.
But that's how good Ryan was. He was a big man that had everything. And I don't know what happened, him and his brother.
And her, we can't forget her. And her played at Purdue, didn't he?
He went to Purdue.
He went to Purdue.
I think he's an FBI agent now. He's an elevator. He's in the FBI now.
He was a good one from here, and he was always the mannered, and Herb turned around and did it because of Wash Park. Now I'm from the South Side, even though I started off over on the East Side. We knew if we came over here to play,
it was gonna be some good ball.
It's gonna be some
Because everybody was here. We just would go to the park. If we weren't playing, we used to play football in the street. Everybody we talking about grew up playing football in the street. And then after we get through playing football, we go to the park and play basketball. And then it was times when we might be fighting, playing football, and go to the park. The same people out here fighting, and we go right to the park and play basketball. But you can't do that today.
Now, what's the impact you think of AAU done been on to places like this on the east side?
Yeah, I think that's what it's taking. I don't want to say taking, but the direction that basketball has went. It's like these young people they don't have to come to the park and play. You know, they go to these centers and they become part of these leagues. And once they have a skill, I mean, it's just a whole different direction. So I don't want to say it's AAU. I mean, we played on teams back then too, but it wasn't the AAU route.
Right,
we went to
I played with Cavasso.
Yep,
Cavasso.
Yeah.
I mean, I played with the Bentleys where you had to be good to be able to be on those teams. You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
So what happens is that you have the idea of you got the players that were left behind because they wasn't good enough. So now today I'm talking about over here on the east side, the park I don't believe is the same as it was.
Oh no.
No.
It ain't.
But we had leagues then too for the summer, especially too, because when I was running the park that year, me and Terry, we had teams, you know, at all different levels, 13, 14, 15, 16, you know, so we had a lot more involvement of young people. Now I think they doing the Nintendo and stuff like that or something. But you don't see them at the court no more. But
they're at the gyms now.
Yeah.
But those are the top players.
Yep.
You know, and one
Yep.
of the things where we talk about is players that didn't get their recognition, you know, even though people like you and I know that they were good players. But if you're not a real baller, you don't even know who these people are.
So you don't have to go to the park no more to get your skills.
Nope.
You know, is that what's happening now?
Nowadays, I think that the youth today, the parents, if their kids like something, they get them into it.
Camps. They get them into
Yeah, they
camps
get them
and
into
stuff
it.
like that.
Whereas it used to be where your parents just kicked you out the house.
Get
So
on,
you
go
would go
somewhere.
out, and if you liked basketball, then you were at the park, shoveling off the sidewalk. All your homeboys always playing rain, snow, sleet, hail. But today, if you have an interest in something, I mean, look at YouTube. Any kid that's good is on a team, and they family don't either let them go live with somebody else, but now they playing for somewhere in Dakota, and they starting earlier. And it's just that the opportunities are different today.
All right, let's go to something, you know, still on the east side, still what's happening is what was the impact of Dr. Tucker in this area of basketball?
You might want to ask him that. I ain't no Dr. Tucker fan.
Oh no,
myself.
I
don't think he had an impact on. I don't think he had an individual impact that directly affected the East Side or local basketball. Dr. Tucker was not in a negative way, but he was who he was. He put on basketball camps and stuff. But him coming out here playing with the kids, like you said, if you weren't going to his basketball camp or wasn't a standout, where he could be your agent or start you off. You know what I'm saying? Tucker wasn't messing with you.
So he wasn't in the inner city.
No, not to me. No, he was having a problem. You go to the Y, he mess up the games because he called phantom fouls all day.
you know you're being taped.
I know I'm being taped. I don't like Dr. Tucker ways. I tell you, you know what I used to tell Tucker on the basketball court? You're a hell of a man off the court. But on the basketball court, you garbage.
But there's a lot of people that, you know, you can say that. But I just wanted to know what his impact was.
Not that, and that's why I say what I say.
I think he had an impact, though.
Well,
you know,
I don't see it. I don't see it.
Yeah, if you was good and you had promise and you went to the camps and everything, and a lot of kids got into them camps and learned some different skills about basketball and stuff like that. But I think he had a positive impact in some ways.
All right, but how about the trash talker? Who was the one around here? Because I consider myself one of the best trash talkers ever. I would talk trash with the guy next to me.
He didn't have no real trash, but maybe they didn't talk that trash because I was older than him. But maybe,
I don't know as
there
far
wasn't a lot
as real
of
trash talking. I don't know. I think later on in my game I talked a lot of trash, but as far as coming up, I don't really think that there was nobody that was really talking a lot of trash. Because I think everybody stayed in their lane. I think everybody knew what their level was.
Well, I used to, after I pull a 30-footer, I'd say count them.
Yeah, I mean stuff like that, but it ain't nobody. It wasn't nobody no real trash talking. Like, why you out here? Oh, get on off me. I mean, I was.
Yeah, well, it came down as when I was growing up, because one of the things me and Dr. Davis had talked about is why the courts are so small here. You know, and it's 4-on-4 when you're playing, and when you're playing in those tight quarters. You know, it's
right.
Yeah. To push people off the court or whatever it is when you're out there, you know. So I used to take that as an advantage.
Pike was good too. Now,
oh yeah, Pike.
We forgot Pike.
Pike
and Marcel Carruthers
we didn't
too.
even speak about that.
Yeah.
They were more football too, though.
Yeah.
But they played basketball as well.
But to me, the best 2-on-2 I ever played against was Bobby and Marcel. Them dudes could play. They
Yeah.
You know, and they wanted to gamble all the time because they knew how good they were. You know, that's what they used to do. I mean, those were the best 2-on-2 guys. That's
Okay.
Went up against. Who would be the best players?
So who was you running with?
Oh, me and my cousins. I'm from
Which cousin?
Raymond Harris and Donald Somerville.
Oh, okay.
Okay. Well, no wonder y'all lost all the time. You can't go get no Southsider and think y'all gonna come beat no Eastsider. You think y'all was gonna lose?
Off on the south,
but you went. You should have went to the Baja and got a couple of guys before you went to that South Side. You know them pretty boys on the South Side. You know they wasn't trying to play no basketball. They wasn't trying to sweat. So you should have went over there on the Baja, or maybe the North Side. Who came off the North Side? I can't even
that's
think.
what we're gonna have the North Side people here next week. They're gonna be talking about how because James Moore was more of a football player.
Yeah.
I mean,
But he ended up going to Everett though.
No, he went
the
to
Morris
Sexton. He went to Sexton.
I thought he went to Everett
State to play football, but he was a heck of a
James Moore.
Player. James Moore, yeah.
I thought he went to.
And then the Gooch.
You talking about what you call it?
Who was Gooch?
Fillmore brother.
Real light skinned. Why can't I think of his real name? The Gooch. He went to Connecticut. He wouldn't play at Connecticut.
Listen.
6'9", 6'10". The Gooch.
He went to Everett.
No, he went to Sexton.
He went to Sexton.
Yeah, he went to Sexton.
Not the Manuals.
For the next side. No, the Manuals is from the south side.
Oh, okay.
Oh, James?
Yeah,
but his blood is east side, though.
Is it?
Big Jim blood is east side, though. How you think he's so dominant? He related to the Jameses. Yeah, Big Manuel, he related to the Manual. He got the east side bloodline. I mean, that's why you got a little of the skill you got. Then you went to the south side, but you got enough for the east side that it carried through.
No, give you the credit for that because
you an east side.
I remember when he came back from California. He went to California.
Long Beach.
He was 5'1".
Yeah.
He came back from California at the end of that summer. He was 6'9",
wow.
230. Yeah, it was like all of a sudden, like he left. I mean, of course but
that's what they say. AD was like that.
Yep, that's what James Daniels came back after that summer.
That's why he got them God skills.
So it was like, man, what you was out there eating?
So he would make me, I just got, I like AD, but I got tired of him trying to play God. Trying to take somebody in, and he's 6'11", and he go.
But he can do it though. If he don't get hurt.
It's been too much time. That's the thing I didn't like about LeBron. Well, LeBron hold the ball, 17, 18 seconds. Now he my man, but sometimes I said, man, go on and
But when you playing out here in the street, you turn around and you control what's going on and who has the ball when you playing street ball. Because nobody comes out there, I'm playing forward, I'm playing center, I'm playing point guard. The ones with the best ball handling skills is the ones that's got the ball in their hand.
Or whoever can rebound and get it. And go down there and shoot it.
That's what it is. Because
you don't want to pass me the ball, I'll get it.
Oh, you know what? I used to tell them, right? If you don't want to pass me the ball, I go down and get every rebound and then shoot from half court. Now let me tell you, people they have know I'm telling the truth.
Yeah.
Grab every rebound and do that jump. For real. And they be mad if they won't, but they can beat me up, so I wasn't worried about it.
I'm trying to figure who was the best ball handler. I would probably have to say that would probably have to be like Don. Don was a pretty good guard.
Yeah.
Of course, Sam, but Quentin Austin, he was pretty good.
Now y'all forgetting about Pike.
Pike. And Marcel. Marcel too. Marcel and Pike.
Right.
Yep.
Good ball.
And
Donnie,
yeah. Donnie was a
I
good
think
ball
Donnie
handler.
was more, even though he played the point, I think Donnie was probably a better two guard because his ability to shoot. You know what I'm saying? I just think Donnie's size ended up limiting him later on. Whereas Bob and Boo Boo, they got a little more height. You know, did a few things differently, especially Ronnie with his shooting ability.
But what's his name was Low Wade. Yeah, Low Wade. That's what I was trying to think of.
Oh, when we talk about Banks?
Yeah. I was talking about Low Wade.
From the east side here?
No, he ain't from the east side. Yeah, I don't think he's from the east side. But you talking about all of Lansing.
Yeah, when you say Lansing, yeah, he
I know him and Pinky was always who was the best. Like Magic and Jay, it was always an argument who was the best. And the same thing happened with Pinky and Lowell Wade, who was the best. And you know, Pinky made All-State.
Oh yeah, Pinky was a beast. Pinky was on his way to Michigan.
Yeah.
He was going to University of Michigan. He ended up going to Western. But he had a situation in his senior year where Michigan backed off. Yeah. And I remember the recruiters coming down there when he was still living over here when he was in high school. And Michigan was really interested in him. And but Western, he went to Western, and I think he got a year in there. But yeah, Pinky was the truth.
Now I'm gonna ask this because we're gonna wrap this up here in a minute. But what gives you the credentials to be out here on this porch telling us what's going on?
Because I grew up on the east side with these guys, playing ball with these guys. You know what I'm saying, from little to big. So you see it, and then especially to be a part of watching like Sam and Jay, watching guys go to Michigan State, watching guys go to other schools, and like we talked about Purdue with Herbert. So it's just growing up and seeing it and being a part of it. You especially when you're growing up in it.
And so, but that gives you the ability to be able I
ain't put myself in. I love basketball. I played basketball all the way up to a few years ago. Doc still shoot around. Oh, yeah. So it's just to be, especially when you talk about locally. Yeah. To grow up with these guys, to be when you see them, to know, where they've been, what their games used to be. It's still, even to this day, when you see people, that they once balled.
And then you feel I feel like with the young ones, I touch and help them somehow in life or on that basketball court. It's where they get there. Now, what about you in this museum? I don't know how long the museum been here and how that helped.
Well, I'm a basketball fan. One of the things I was mentioning to you before, I come from Grand Rapids, where we had really full-size courts, and so one of the things a lot of folks in Grand Rapids love to shoot long jumpers, because it's a big court. And I saw the same thing here, but when you shot from here, it was like you at one end of the court, But it just just running the park and playing with Trap and Terry, especially Terry, because Terry always got chose if Terry was out there.
Yeah.
So I always played. So I had a chance to run with the best of them out here. I don't play with all of them. At least a minute here, there, too. And so I just love the game.
Yeah, but now with being over here, being the east side in the museum, being a part of all the young kids growing up.
But look at all who passed through this park.
Yeah.
A guy came from New York. And I was in an organization called the Black United Front, and they came from New York. And at that time at Walsh Park, a lot of players from around the city would come over on Sunday afternoon and play, So he came over, and I got a little gate in the back, and we went to the park there, and I just happened to be all these guys from all around the city was playing and everything. I said, hey, man, you got the Rutgers in New York. We got Walsh Park here.
Yeah.
And they was rocking. So we had a little rep. So this area has always had a reputation for ball since the 80s and 90s. Since the Vincents and the Stanleys and the Outlaws.
You mentioned Dr. Tucker. That one year, the year Philadelphia won the championship, whatever year it was. Magic. I think it was
83.
No, it was
when they had Moses.
No, but Andrew Toney, Dr. J, all of them came to the park. Jay, because he was in the league. Magic, they was all up at Walsh Park that year. They all had went to Dr. Tucker's basketball camp to do coaching and put on seminars, and they all pulled up Mark McGuire. Because Mark McGuire, he was with Dallas with Jay. So all of those guys came to the east side. Like you say, they didn't. Sam was the only one that they let play with them. But at that time, Sam was at Michigan State, I believe. But in that year, Magic, all of them, that was full. They was full, everybody. All their Benzes, all their cars was at the park. I remember they brought nets up and everybody, like you say. So being a part and seeing that level of basketball. And growing up with that level of basketball.
And another thing, too, I first ran into Sam up at Home Street School, and I ran the gym up there, you know. So all of us had kind of a hand in working with getting Sam, you know, together. So he was playing with all, like you said, he played with a lot of the older folks, you know.
Do you remember the court at Parker's Park Zoo? You know, Parker's Park Zoo used to have a basketball court.
Right in the very front.
Yep. Well, nope, it was up by the concession trailer. And there was times I got a picture somewhere. I got a picture somewhere at home of me and when Magic was up there. They were in high school, and this was if he graduated in '79 from college. So this had to be like '77, '76, or something like that. But they used to play ball at Parker's Park Zoo. They had a real nice court over there. They had the concession trailer, not a concession. They had a concession stand, and they had So they used to play
a nice
a lot
game
of ball
yourself.
over
You
there.
like to want to play point.
Oh yeah,
you love to want to play. You love point.
Well, that's where the street ball.
But you got to have some handles to play point.
Oh yeah,
You got to have some handles.
Get the ball from here.
Yeah. You got to have some handles.
Don't let him.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
They'll tell you the truth.
But then growing up over here, you either, if you participating, your game goes up to a level that you can play.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So you got to get good enough to play if you want to play with these guys.
And you have to know that court too, because you had certain spots that was down. You have to know that court.
Now we're gonna wrap this up, but the last thing is, I know y'all gonna say Walsh Park is the best park, but what other parks did y'all ever go and play at, or even talk about around here? I know because I grew up right here. Don't get me wrong, and I played at Foster.
Right? Their outdoor court was decent.
Me and my brother here. We was Benjamin Davis.
I like Benjamin Davis.
Did y'all ever go up in East Lansing behind the bus station? Behind the bus station over there too. Yeah.
The IM outdoors at the IM.
The IM was where it was now. The IM now.
And now living here on the east side, being able to walk.
Go and sneak into
Yeah. But it used to didn't really even be sneaking. You could just walk in, and then, for a couple of years you get the crazy stuff going on. They get a little tighter on security, but you end up finding a way around that too.
It was part of helping increase the game where you have a place
and of
like
course,
is out there.
And of course, they used to play all the state championships at Jennison Fieldhouse. So Lansing was always known. Now I go way back to in fact, I went to Grand Rapids. I went to Grand Rapids Central, and we lost 2 years in a row to Lansing Sexton back in '58, '59. People don't realize Sexton won back to back, '58, '59, and '59, '60.
That's when Joe
Yeah,
Ferguson.
yep,
came,
Joe Ferguson,
yeah,
them,
because
yep.
we always thought we gonna get
Yep,
him on this
yep,
porch
yep,
show.
yep. So they always, Lansing always was known for ball.
Yeah.
Always had a reputation for ball all over the states, you know.
Well,
Yeah,
no, because
yeah.
the main thing of doing this is that I feel like that when you talk about basketball, you should think the state of Michigan got great players. Just like we think that the state of Florida got great football players.
But we ain't not recently though. Recently, especially Lansing, we have not been producing as we once have.
Want to ask the young man out in the audience about what he think a little bit about the discussion?
I'm just listening.
But let me tell you this real quick about the level of basketball. And we're going to have Coach Larry here. He told me years ago that the basketball was going to go down in the inner city and that the outskirts and all these little white teams would beat the inner city like the girls is getting beat in basketball for the boys. And what happened? They got rid of junior high school basketball, right? There is hardly any programs like what you used to run, teaching.
Right.
Yeah. Besides,
Right,
you got to be excellent and good at. So now you don't lost this, and now players.
Now we got a couple of coaches over here. You know, Edwin Jones' nephew.
Yeah, Edwin Jones,
Edwin had a good game too, but his brother's nephew is running Easton.
Yeah.
For real?
Yeah. He's Easton's coach.
I didn't know that.
Rosie's
Rosie's
son.
Oh wow, that's a small world.
Easton's
Is
coach.
that if you don't start teaching the kid, just like he told us, if you don't start teaching the kid early and they don't learn organized basketball until they get ninth grade, it's hard to play with that. It is really hard to
But
play.
see, everything has a cost now, and if we don't have a facility where they can go to really get into basketball, then you know what I'm saying? Like, I don't see where we get into the kids.
That's why it's going down. That's why we haven't had the players.
When do you think that the decline of players started declining here? Because I thought since the MAC had left, because you know everybody used to go to the MAC every year. It was like every year type of event, and ever since that had stopped, it seemed like everything started declining. And why do y'all think that it declined at that time?
No, I don't think the Gus Mackers and all of that stuff really. I think that it's really, again, like not in a bad way, but you should just kick your kids out the door and say go.
Yeah, you're right. They need the Gus Mackers and them back.
But the kids don't just go to the parks anymore.
In fact, we talk about doing the just. You know, that's one thing up until 2009, and Jesse kind of left us. We used to have a tournament every year.
Oh, yeah.
That was the 10th one, the picture of it up there. That was the 10th one that we had in a row.
I won a couple of them. I had a couple teams that won a couple of them.
I'm thinking they should have like a tournament that was spread around different sides of town to certain parks that had like certain.
I mean, but we'll get into another once we get into another thing. But I don't think none of that would be hard to do. We can bring youth basketball back.
We might try
I
to do
already got a
tournament
concept. I
this
think
year.
can work with that. I think
we about to wrap this up, y'all.
All right.
I want to thank y'all for coming
All
out
right.
here, and this is what it's about.